Hey everyone, this is STEAMpunk Academy and welcome to the first edition of Drunk Science. And so we are here tonight. I'm Justice Marath. I am the Executive Director and Co-Founder of STEAMpunk Academy, and I am drinking Sugar House Distillery Rye Whiskey.
Oh, I would
mixed with Coke and cherry right here. And this right here is Sky Hatter.
Hi, I'm the Director and Co-Founder of STEAMpunk Academy. And I'm drinking some beehive gin in the form of a ginger tonic with a little ginger baby for a garnish.
And with us is our Dr. Ellen Bluett, who has cordially been willing to be subjected to the first one of these. She's a licensed clinical psychologist and assistant professor in behavioral science at the Family Medicine Residency of Western Montana, which is associated with the University of Montana up in Missoula, I believe. So formerly Utah also. And what are you drinking out there?
Drinking some red wine. Not enough though. This is the end of it. Not enough. And you guys, just so you know, like sometimes it's echoing in and out a little bit. Just beware. So pause between each person talking. But yes, red wine, and I will have a Guinness next, which is kind of a weird combination, but what can you do? Yeah. They had it on sale at Costco and we were stocking up.
Yeah.
Speaking of stocking up at Costco, that's kind of a anxiety behavior that's been what we've been seeing lately, given that we're on day 8 of quarantine.
Wow, day 8, yeah.
I don't know. I have to double check, but I'm guessing. How do you tell if the difference between like just having an anxiety disorder and just being alive right now?
And just being like a little anxious right now? Is that what you said?
Yeah, or just being alive in the world.
Oh, alive, right? Being a human right now in today's world. So, and I just wanted to kind of give people a background. My area of like work and research and expertise is really in anxiety disorders and anxiety-related disorders like PTSD or obsessive compulsive disorder. And so for something to be like an anxiety disorder, I don't want anybody self-diagnosing based on this video, but really like we're all anxious, right? Right now, we're kind of all having these thoughts of uncertainty and not knowing what's going to happen and trying to predict the future. And that's just like a normal thing for humans to experience. Like we like to have control. And so our minds often try to predict and control the future. And we can't do that right now. And we're kind of consuming this media, which is elevating our anxiety and exacerbating these thoughts. So we're having more of these thoughts of like, what's going to happen? What if this? What if that? And the thing is, none of us really know what's going to be happening in the future. So that's just like typical anxiety and worry. But for something to be an anxiety disorder, it actually has to impair somebody's functioning. And there's different types of anxiety disorders, but it really has to impact your ability to do your work, to engage in your life with your family. And this is even tricky right now because we're all kind of, our lives are upside down right now. Nobody's like working normal. Relationships are kind of thrown off right now and we're out of our normal routines. But each kind of anxiety disorder has a different kind of criteria to it. But I would say that kind of those what if worried thoughts are pretty typical and common right now for all of us.
Cool. I don't have an anxiety disorder.
No self-diagnosing, right? Yeah. But you see these behaviors, right? Like you're seeing all of us, like people are going to Costco and buying, I really still don't get the toilet paper thing. I haven't bought into that yet. I'm like, why would I want toilet? Like I'd rather have like really good food and delicious beer or something. But you know, people are trying to control what they feel like they can, and buying things and stocking up is a way of managing that uncomfortable feeling that comes along with those worried thoughts or trying to predict the future.
So like if that's a behavior that people are engaging in that's a coping mechanism, what are some better, more productive ways of dealing with the anxiety?
Yeah, and I think, so there's like a host of ways for people to manage what is going on right now. And I would definitely say, like, if you feel like this is extreme right now, like all the therapists in the world are going online and they're doing telehealth, so seek those people out. But some tricks and tips that I would suggest for right now is trying to maintain a routine. So again, going back to that functioning, like we want people to still get up in the morning, brush their teeth, take a shower, try to engage online and do their work, like work from home if they can. But maintaining structure is going to be really key right now. And a second thing I would recommend is minimizing your exposure to media, because what we know is that the more you're exposed to things that are going to kind of exacerbate or, rev up that anxiety, those anxiety thoughts in your mind, it's just going to get worse. And we're trying to like control it or avoid those thoughts. And by exposing ourselves to the media constantly, it's only going to make it worse. I'm not saying don't check in, but check in occasionally. And then there's some other like cognitive strategies. So a lot of the what if thoughts that people are having right now, we don't know. So again, one of the strategies that you can do is just saying, okay, so what if I get sick? What if I'm exposed? Or what if I can't go to work for 3 more months? Well, then you can fill in the blank and say, well, then what? What can I do? Like you can come up with a contingency plan with you and your family or whomever, so that you feel like you do have something set in place if something were to happen. That can help people kind of feel like they do have some essence of control. Another strategy that I personally like is just taking it one day at a time, because we don't know, again, what's going on. So what can I do today and what can I do tomorrow, instead of trying to predict what am I going to do in August of 2020 if this, and who knows? So that's another way. And then, you've seen online, like everybody's kind of like, engage in all these self-care activities, do this, do that. I'm going to pick up a fitness habit, or I'm going to clean out all of my garage. I'm going to do all of these things. And that's great. If that's working for you, but also like allow yourself to chill right now. Like take this time to relax. Like we're always on this go, go, go. And so I would say like, don't kill yourself to pick up like 15 new hobbies while you're working for home or quarantine.
Can I jump in there? Actually, you bring up an interesting point, and I don't know Pollyanna about like this global pandemic and everything, but like you bring up a good point that this is forcing us to just chill the F out a little bit. And that like maybe our lives have been way too stressed out for other reasons, right? It's like working too much, not doing the self-care. I don't know. Do you see a silver lining to all this at all, or?
I mean, I think it depends on how people react to it. I think it could be a silver lining, right? So sometimes we avoid the things that make us uncomfortable by staying super busy, right? And so this is allowing people to like sit back and not be like 100 miles an hour every day, 5 days a week, until the weekend, and then they crash. So I think that this could be a way for people to slow down. It just depends on how you're responding to it. Again, I think sometimes people are trying to stay super busy at home, and I think that's, again, maybe an avoidance mechanism because they don't want to experience the anxiety that they're having. So again, it's like sitting with it, noticing those thoughts and trying not to get too caught up in them, because the more we try to push them away, and this is with all anxiety disorders, the more you try to push it away and control it, the more you have it actually. So, yeah.
So with in Utah, right after we got the orders not to go outside anymore, to stay home and not gather and some more than 10, we had an earthquake.
Right. So scary.
Yeah. And we have a friend who's a friend of STEAMpunk Academy, Amir alum, and he's a seismologist, and he did a talk with us as well. And he told us all about the big ones coming. So it really like elevated the sense of panic that we all kind of know is a thing. The big one is coming, and then this kind of big one happened. Could that be enough to give someone a a PTSD disorder?
So post-traumatic stress disorder, you guys just had the earthquake, what, like 5 days ago? A week ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a Wednesday. Last Wednesday.
So by like diagnostic criteria, you can't have PTSD from that specific earthquake yet. So you might be experiencing like acute stress response, right? So you experiencing something that is life-threatening, is a trauma, right? Like that could be perceived as life-threatening. And then people have different responses when things like an earthquake happens. And so there's different symptoms that people could be experiencing in that first month period, and that's acute stress. Again, this normal. And these are the things like having difficulty sleeping, re-experiencing, trying to avoid places or anything that might kind of remind you of an earthquake, or kind of having flashbacks of experiencing the earthquake, having negative thoughts about the earthquake, being hypervigilant or on edge. That could be another symptom. But those are normal human responses, right? Like, so your amygdala was fired during that earthquake. I don't know if, was it nighttime or daytime?
It was early morning. It was like
early morning.
7 o'clock in the morning.
So scary. And so you right? So your body is responding like there is a life-threatening event, and you can't erase that memory, unfortunately. And so you're going to have some, you know, it's really typical, especially for the first couple of days, to have some of those symptoms that I just mentioned. But it's not PTSD unless it's been, those symptoms have been there for a month and it's impacted your ability to function. And again, that means like you can't get out of bed, you can't do the things that are typical to your daily life. Being worried or like kind of hearing like a rumble and reacting to it right now, we would probably expect that right now. So yeah.
And my acute stress response is making little ginger babies.
I mean, everybody's got their ways, right? And so it's funny that we're drinking right now because, you know, I think sometimes people like drink to avoid these worried thoughts. And so just know that it's another way of avoidance. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. This has been really helpful. Any last closing thoughts on what people should do going forward, both not just for the earthquake situation here in Utah, but also the pandemic? Like, what can we do to, especially if we're here for the long haul, if we're having to like hunker down and self-isolate for months potentially, like what should we be doing?
Well, again, you just kind of went into the what ifs if we have to.
I did it. So don't do that. Don't do that. All right.
I mean, for today, what we know, right, you have a limit of when you have to work from home. So I would, again, just take it for today until that moment, or until you shelter in place is over. And some of us have been given time frames for that. Some of us haven't been. So I would just take it, again, one day at a time. Notice what your mind is doing. So if you have a hard time even noticing what kind of thoughts are showing up for yourself, literally close your eyes and just take a couple deep breaths, and just your mind will start going. It will start telling you different things, and just start to notice those thoughts and see if you're trying to predict the future, and if you're having those what if thoughts, and then try to come up with a contingency plan, then this, or just notice them and be like, what is in my control in the right now, right? And ask yourself that, what can I do in this moment that I have control over? What I have control over right now is having a sip of my wine, right? I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. Cheers.
Yeah.
So yeah, and again, like I said earlier, just really being conscientious of how much time you're spending on the media. Yeah. Those would be my tips. Yeah. Yeah, well, this was fun. Too bad. I mean, I'm sad to not be in Utah, but at the same time, I can't imagine the earthquake on top of all of it. I tell you what.
It was interesting. I can say that. Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't the big one yet. But,
yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
I try not to think about those things, like, because really, like, when I do have one of those intrusive thoughts of like when Yellowstone blows up or whatever, I'm just like, okay, that's a possibility, and it's not happening in the right now. Like, what's occurring today in this moment? We're not in an earthquake. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know.
I think that's a perfect ending. So
yeah. All right.
so much.
Cheers, you guys. Stay well. All right. Bye-bye.